Pisces, when it comes to the year that you are stepping into, or should I say swimming into, as the fish of the zodiac, when you have North Node and thus the eclipses landing in your sign, you can be sure that everything is about to change. Hi, my name is Haley Comet, and welcome to my Cosmic Corner of the Internet, where we discuss all things astrology, and today, all things Pisces 2025, what the cosmos has in store for the fish of the zodiac, and how it is that you, as the magical manifester that you are, can work with these themes, align with these themes, co-create with these themes. If this is your first time stopping by my Cosmic Corner, or swimming over to my Cosmic Corner, I should say, something that you need to know about the way that I deliver your yearly horoscope is that I will never fearmonger you. I will always be forthright about the themes that you may experience. I am of the belief to be forewarned is to be forearmed. But within this video, as well as with every other piece of content on my channel, I always seek to communicate that information in the most empowering way possible so that you feel motivated and inspired around how it is that you are going to work with this astrology, meet these opportunities halfway, and stay mindful and aware of some of the challenges that may be forming within the planets above you. And Pisces, you are a main character of 2025's astrology, and I know what you're thinking. You're saying, Haley Comet, haven't I already been a main character? I have Saturn and Neptune in my sign. Listen, Saturn energy can be hard. It can be challenging. A lot of you within recent years, it may continue this year, have been stepping up into leadership positions. You've had to exert discipline. You've had to learn some hard lessons. Being a Saturnian main character isn't the most pleasant. Nor is being a Neptunian main character in a bit of a different way. Neptune energy can make us a little dreamy, a little delusional, a little lost in our own mind, a little ungrounded, untethered to reality. The main character that you are becoming this year is because North Node joins the Pisces party in the sky. And the thing about the North Node is that it speeds things up. You know, Saturn is an energy of time and delays and restrictions. Neptune is kind of lost in its own world. North Node is dramatic life events that ultimately accelerate our destiny. What you need to understand, Pisces, is that you are dancing with the divine in the year ahead. You are working with the nodes of fate. North Node of fate is in Pisces. So it's important to note when it comes to the year that you are stepping into fated new beginnings, things that were destined to come into your life, whether that's by way of properties, homes, whether that's by way around creative projects, whether that's by way of relationships. There are fated new beginnings that are entering your life, things that were always meant to be yours, were always meant to either teach you an important lesson or guide you into the next chapter of your life. But as we grant this space to say yes to things that were chosen for you by the universe, you also need to grant the space to let go of what does not serve you. And that's what's challenging about being a nodal main character or having eclipses in your sign, is that we have to trust in the powers that be. We have to trust in the cosmic forces, because sometimes certain things can be taken away, or we can have to release certain relationships or certain habits within our world that from our human vantage point here on Earth, we want to cling to it around why, universe, why does this need to be taken away from me? But the thing is, the universe knows everything about you. It knows your soul, it knows your talents, it knows your gifts, it knows what is on the horizon. And there is a need to trust in these celestial cycles and know that fate is communicating to you by way of the opportunities, the people that are entering into your life, and the things that are departing your life. This is where it gets different. Being a nodal main character, things are a little bit quicker. They tend to accelerate. They tend to change things up. Saturn is a little slow and steady. Neptune is a little lost in its own world. North Node is coming in to shake things up. If you felt like things are getting a little boring, Pisces, the eclipses are certain to accelerate your destiny, move you towards what is meant for you. And that's where it's important to surrender to spirit. And I believe that a lot of you will be guiding the rest of the collective, the rest of humanity in this. Like, we are all being asked with North Node and Pisces to trust the universe, to trust in the cycles, to trust in divine timing, to surrender rather than force, to let go of our particular plan. And that's going to be an uncomfortable process for many. But this is something naturally as a Pisces you do. You flow with these universal cycles. And so you may be a beacon of light, a beacon of inspiration for other humans around how to do just this. And so this is just a slice of the cake of 2025 astrology. We have so much to discuss, but I want to just let you know that this video is part of my 12 Days of Cosmos series. All videos are now live. Thank you so much, Pisces, for being so patient. You were the last forecast posted this year. I did you guys first last year because I figured, having Saturn in your sign is not always for the faint of heart. And if I bring this series back next year, I will make sure to have you guys first. But thank you so much for your patience. The good news is that now all 12 signs are live. And I would recommend listening to 2 videos from this playlist. Firstly, I would listen to your rising sign, your ascendant sign. That will always be the most accurate snapshot of the year that you are stepping into. To a lesser degree, I would also listen to your sun sign. The reason for this is that I tell much of this horoscope through the lens of houses, and within my practice, I utilize a technique called solar houses, which is when you pull the sun into the first house and set up the houses accordingly. So really, you'll want to listen to your ascendant sign. You may find that that resonates the most, but listening to your sun sign also may bring up some additional themes, opportunities, and challenges that you are working with in the year ahead. And Pisces to Pisces. Okay, I'm here swimming through these waters with you. We have quite a year that I'm excited to get into, but I just want to say that if my style of astrology resonates with you, speaks with you, I'd be so honored to have some fellow Pisces in my cosmic community here on the internet. Please consider subscribing, liking, commenting, any little bit of engagement. It truly is so helpful. I have all sorts of content here on the channel to check out. I do all signs forecasts for all of the major transits that we experience. I also do a weekly horoscope series called Magic Monday, where I take you through every single week of astrology and how you can turn your life into something magical as the magician that you are by working with the astrology, by bobbing and weaving with the cosmic currents. So check that out if that feels in alignment with you. But without further ado, Pisces, let's get into your 2025 forecast fated alignments. Okay, Pisces, so in guiding you through the waters that we are swimming in the year ahead, I like to firstly call out a defining transit of the year. We have a lot shifting and changing and rearranging in the cosmos in the year 2025, and while all of these transits have a story for us, and all of them I will discuss later in this video, I like to start with the one that's the most influential and impactful for you. And this is, of course, North Node in Pisces, South Node in Virgo. Let's get into this further. Like I stated earlier, when you have North Node in your sign, that means that most of the eclipses will land in either your sign or in your opposite sign. So from a house perspective, North Node in Pisces is moving into your first house, and South Node in Virgo is moving through your 7th house throughout the entirety of 2025. The energy that I will detail will punctuate the most around the eclipses that we have in March and September. We have 3 eclipses landing in the Virgo Pisces axis, which for you brings up themes around self and other. As I stated, you've been a Saturn main character. And Saturn makes us play by the bounds of reality, a concept and a construct that Pisces are enemies of, right? Pisces, we like to be in our own dream world, within our own world of fantasy and imagination. And the energy of Saturn, whether it was because of responsibilities, whether it was because of leadership, whether it was just because of limitations with our physical body or just hard life circumstances, there's been a nudge where you have not been able to retreat into your own inner dream world. Like the demands of life just kind of pull you out of it. For some of you, there also could have been a story around recognizing how your beautiful quality, may I say, of always seeing the best in people has caused you harm. Because as a Pisces, you tend to be this kind of shapeshifter energy. You're mutable water, right? You can inhabit any sort of container. And the energy of Saturn has been asking you since 2023 and continues through 2026. You did get a break midway this year, but it's been asking you to fit into a container and really define and identify yourself. Because trying to be everything to everybody, trying to fit in every single container and make everybody happy, it will have detrimental impacts on you. Whether you don't have the time for yourself, whether you don't have the resources to build what it is that you want, or whether you put yourself in harm's way because you're always seeing the best in people and seeing the best in situations, allowing yourself to romanticize a prison cell or romanticize a toxic dynamic. You know, it is a beautiful quality that Pisces is able to see the divinity in the world around them, in other humans. But with Saturn in the first house, a lot of you have had to recognize that this too has a shadow side. And for some of you, you've had to really face where it is that you've been too gullible, where it is that you've been too trusting of others, where it is that you've tried to be everything that people needed and wanted you to be, and it still wasn't enough. You know, Pisces, to a certain degree, likes to be the fantasy, right? Play in the realm of imagination, be all things to all people. But you are not a fantasy. You are not just a side character within other people's lives. You are not just a planet that orbits around other people's stars, right? Like sometimes I feel, because Pisces is very compassionate and very selfless as a sign, that kindness can be taken advantage of and taken for granted. And because you see the divinity in the person, or you see the spiritual lesson in the experience, you can withstand and put up with far too much. And I think for a lot of you, Saturn in your first house has been inspiring you to stand on business. Neptune is also in your first house, and this is foggy projection energy. A lot of you have tried to be the fantasy, tried to be everything to everybody, whether that was being the employee who helps everybody with everything, or being the girlfriend who, whatever you need, I got you. I'll contort and accommodate and shapeshift in order to be what you need. You have needs. You are a human. You are not just a planet in other people's galaxy. You are not just someone to be used and discarded when there's no longer a need for you. You are somebody who deserves to have your own emotional needs cared for. Because some of you, this transit could have awakened you to where you feel like an emotional handkerchief. Like people reach for you, reach for your compassion, reach for your selflessness, utilize you as a shoulder to cry on. And it could have left you feeling very dejected, you know, with the energy of Neptune in the first house. Neptune governs screens and mirrors and cameras. And so I just feel like some of you have just awakened to this reality around, oh, it was never about me. It was about what I reflected to you. It was about the supporting role that I was in your universe. It was about how I made you feel about yourself. It was about how I built you up. It wasn't about me. And you deserve to have it about you, Pisces. That doesn't make you a bad person to have emotional needs and to say no and to have limits and to not be able to be all things to all people. And I wanted to start there before I get into the nuances of North Node in your sign, because you need to start from that space around I take up space, I have emotional needs, I stand on business in terms of what I need, and making my own dreams a reality. Because some of you, even you could help other people's dreams come to life. You could always be a helping hand to other people while you are slowly destroying yourself. You know, whether it's hard on your body, right? The stress of walking on eggshells around certain dynamics leading you to feel anxious and stressed a majority of the time and losing your appetite. Or not having the space in order to prioritize your own health because you're so busy caring for other people's needs. Or even needing to just shut down your sensitivity and your compassion because you're so sick of being taken advantage of. Whether something destroys your body or your mind or your spirit, the result is the same. And you do not need to be a martyr of your own life. You do not need to accommodate and contort and shapeshift in order to be everything to everybody. Be enough for yourself first. Because what these eclipses are going to ask you to do is choose yourself. And I'm not saying you need to say sayonara to all of your friends and all of your partnerships and what have you. But if you are in a crossroads where somebody is asking you, whether this is in big ways or small ways, to abandon yourself in order to accommodate other people, you're being guided this year to choose yourself. And to really be conscious of where and when you abandon yourself. When you check out around, I have not ate, I have not slept, and this is a friend of mine who constantly asks me for favors, but rather than taking care of myself, I'm gonna drop everything and go to this person. Even if it wasn't reciprocal. Like a lot of you have just recognized with this Saturn first house energy, like, wow, it was never about me, you know, it was because I was a convenient friend. It's because I made you feel good about yourself. It's because I mirrored certain things to you. But now that I say no, all of a sudden I'm the bad guy. And now that I say no, now that I have needs, suddenly it's something different. And with the energy of North Node first house, I want you to reframe any sort of guilt that you experience around choosing yourself. You deserve to care for your body. You deserve to care for your mind. You deserve to care for your spirit. In fact, prioritizing these things allows you to be even more present and intentional within your relationships in how it is that you show up. I just feel like some of you are moving into 2025 just feeling emptiness, feeling very deprived of what you could give yourself, and dealing with individuals who are still asking for more. No more. And some of you are having to get comfortable putting your foot down, having boundaries. Some of you have leveled up as a leader in some regard, and that requires you to put your foot down. You can't be everything to everybody when you're a leader. You need to define yourself and not let other people define you, whether that's in favorable ways or whether that's in not so favorable ways. Other people don't define you, you define you. And if you've been looking towards other people for validation, this is a time to validate yourself. Love yourself, choose yourself. And this is challenging to do, you know, Pisces to Pisces, I get you. And I think to me, what helped me reframe this is my own spiritual connection. Pisces is a very spiritual sign. This is going to be a very spiritual year. And to me, in those moments where I was not valuing myself, not prioritizing myself, not taking care of myself, all that I am, body, mind, spirit, all together, it was me disrespecting divinity. Truly, if I doubted myself, if I felt like my worthiness is wrapped up into validating, pleasing others, that is me disrespecting the unique soul that I was crafted to be and the gifts and the talents that I have within me. Who am I to doubt myself if I'm a part of the universe? Like, I'm God's creation. Who am I to doubt me? To me, that frame of mind helped me reorient myself and trick myself almost into taking care of myself. I think sometimes Pisces has to do that. You know, as a Pisces, you're very dreamy. It's about the internal world that you cultivate for yourself. One that's healthy, one that doesn't allow you to romanticize situations that are toxic or not good for you. One that helps you and supports you in moving towards your most healthy, aligned life. And treating yourself badly is disrespecting the divine, is like almost a helpful way to gaslight yourself into taking better care of yourself. As well as if you're somebody who's very other people oriented, you can gaslight yourself around, if I don't show up for my own diet, if I don't show up for my own self-care, I'm not going to be the friend that I could be, the boss that I could be, the mother that I could be. Sometimes you gotta trick yourself. Ultimately, I want you to do it for you, but if you have a hard time with that, trick yourself. Say bettering yourself is for work, say bettering yourself is for your kids, but ultimately better yourself. That is the energy of what you are being asked to do this year. A lot of you are prioritizing movement, you're prioritizing getting healthy. Physically healthy, certainly. A lot of you are having limits. If you have certain escapist tendencies, if you've been overindulging by way of alcohol, by way of substances, you're being asked to look at that. Because Pisces energy, it can, rather than participate within reality, just check out from reality altogether, numb into a comforting dreamland, rather than making these visions reality. You can make your dreams come true this year, Pisces. Truly, this is a year. So long as you are willing to know that your visions were selected for you from the divine and work towards them with Saturn and Pisces, you can make your visions come true. You can make your dreams come true. But you need to firstly honor and understand that you are worthy of them to come to light, and to come to light in reality, not just in your dream imagination world. And some of you are exerting discipline and boundaries in order to get there. You cannot be everything to everybody and make your dreams a reality. You need to prioritize yourself. You need to know you're worthy of experiencing your dreams in reality. And it's not to say it won't be hard. Saturn in the first house, some of you are cutting things out. Some of you are cutting back on partying. Some of you are dealing with certain responsibilities. You're really leveling up, Pisces. Because those dreams that you have within that cute little noggin of yours, I promise, it's a lot more satisfying here in reality rather than in your dream world. And it's just choosing and making the decision to live in reality. Some of you have so many responsibilities that you don't even have an option, but some of you are having to get clear around where you're procrastinating, where you are deluding yourself, where you are keeping yourself stuck. And for some of you, making a hard decision to choose yourself. Because here's where we get into the relationship part of this. Because while North Node is in your first house, which is expanding self, body, appearance, identity, visibility. This is the focus, Pisces. This is what you're being launched towards. This is what destiny is launching you towards, is becoming the person that you were meant to be. And what the universe is removing from you is the people who were not meant to be by your side as you become the person that you're meant to be. You know, Pisces, you are a fish, and dirty water equals sick fish. You can be healthy yourself, maybe doing this work around purifying yourself from foods that you no longer want to eat, or having discipline around your physical body and how it is that you want to show up for yourself. You could do all that work on yourself. But if you are still in environments and around people that are toxic, dirty water, sick fish, Pisces is more susceptible, more so than other signs, to internalizing, metabolizing, and becoming one's environment. You are the water that you swim in. And I just want you to honor that. It's not to say that all of us necessarily need to release someone, but some of you are really gaining awareness around, oh, this is someone who nitpicks me quite a bit. This is someone who's constantly criticizing me. This is someone who makes me feel worse about myself after I'm around them rather than better about myself. And it doesn't need to be that way, Pisces. And if someone shows you who it is that they are, believe them. Believe them. And it's hard because you believe in potential, you believe in the dream, you believe in people changing, and you believe in things getting better. But this is a year in which you really have to go based on what it is that you see, what people's actions communicate to you. And it can be hard because some of you could be walking away from certain connections where you love the person, but you don't love how they treat you. And you deserve to be in a relationship and in a connection where you are valued and you are prioritized. And you can love someone so much, you can love their soul, but you can refuse to settle for that person's treatment of you, or whatever your standards are. You know, the energy of Saturn and Pisces, stand on business, know what's important to you, know who it is that you are, and refuse to settle. And know that you're worthy of having somebody in your life who treats you right, where you don't have to contort and shapeshift and walk on eggshells and hope and plead. And that's so heartbreaking to exit from a connection where you love the person so much and you want things to get better. But at a certain point, it is an act of self-abandonment to stay in an environment where you are being perpetually mistreated. The spectrum of this, of course, widens, but I just see some of you are just choosing yourself, maybe even for the first time. And I want to let you know, if somebody decides to walk away from you, any sort of one-to-one relationship within your life, you need to understand that you're dancing with destiny this year. If you have a relationship removed from your life, when South Node's in your 7th house, and particularly around the eclipses in March and September, when you have somebody removed from your life, that is the universe getting involved. That's the thing about having nodes in your sign. You are co-creating with the divine. I know sometimes Saturn in the first house can be a little lonely because we're having to, say no, stand on business, so on and so forth. But you are walking hand in hand with the divine. And sometimes you get that clarity around, oh, I see why that person had to be removed from my life. And sometimes you don't. But you have to know and believe that if somebody is removed from your life, it's because the divine knew that it's getting in the way of the next chapter of your growth. And that's hard to trust and to believe, but you're being asked to trust and believe that this year, Pisces. And a lot of you have to genuinely do what's best for you, which is hard. It's hard to separate yourself, especially if there are certain dynamics where it's very codependent. It's very enmeshed. And I just see a lot of you are really setting limits around, I may love you, but I love me more. And I have to choose me right now. And you might have certain people who try to guilt you or make you feel bad for choosing yourself. But at the end of the day, Pisces, when you came here, when you were born, before you decided to be anyone's partner, before you decided to be anyone's employee, your responsibility in this lifetime was to be yourself and to take care of yourself and to honor yourself. At the end of the day, I do believe that we do owe decency and kindness and respect to people within our lives. But I'm saying, at the end of the day, even if somebody's a nice person, they don't mistreat you, but you just know that the relationship's not serving you, you are being guided to choose yourself and walk away. If somebody walks away from you, even if you are heartbroken and sad, you're like, where are you going? What's going on? You have to trust. The universe is in rooms that you are not in. It hears conversations that you do not hear. It sees people's hearts and intentions that you do not hear. You are not being rejected. You are being spared. Because being a Pisces, you have a very kind heart and you need to be with a special kind of person who prioritizes that and cherishes that. And if you are single going into this period, I want you to be conscious of meeting new types of people who remind you of familiar old patterns that you've already walked away from. Some of you could have had this tendency of partnering with people who are good on paper, right? South Node in Virgo. I had a plan around I would marry this type of person around this sort of time. And maybe you did settle in a certain degree, or maybe you did have certain dynamics where people were constantly nitpicking you and making you feel crazy and making you feel like you were the problem. And just being mindful of where even new connections could remind you of these familiar old dynamics. You know, if we do not learn the lesson, it'll just repeat with different faces. And so some of you could be even connecting with people from your past. Again, you do you, Pisces, but be mindful is all I'm saying. Be mindful about that, okay? Because I think Pisces energy can believe the dream. This is so romantic. We're finding each other later in life. Really see if they've done the work. Like Saturn energy within reality. Are they treating you how you deserve and how you deserve to be respected within reality? Are they showing up and do they make sense with the life that you've already built within reality? You know, promises aren't cutting it right now with Saturn Pisces. You literally don't have the time for empty promises and people who are going to waste your time. Like with Saturn and Pisces, you typically are leveling up within your business. You're in the gym. You're taking care of your responsibilities. You're a boss. Like there's just elements of real life that's demanding a lot from you. So be very conscious of individuals who say they're going to change or criticize you and nitpick you and distract you from your own visions or goals. You don't have time for that. And it could literally be someone from your past. It could be just dynamics that feel familiar. It could be dynamics from past lives. That's the thing about South Node. It also goes to past life dynamics. And I would just really be conscious around what it is that you define love as. And reworking anything around, you know, love is ups and downs and roller coaster and passion. And again, you can have the relationship that you want within this lifetime, but just being very mindful and really integrating all of the wisdom that you've already learned this point in your life. If you've recognized that you've been on roller coasters that kept you stuck or stagnant, that distracted you from your own visions or goals, even if you see an alluring roller coaster, you meet someone who elicits those same feelings within you, does not mean you need to get on it once more and see if it's different this time. You know, Pisces are being asked to stop being delusional this year. We were asked to really start in 2023, and we've been doing that work. But I'm just saying, the North Node is asking you to be delusional in ways that work out, rather than delusional in ways that keep you stuck. So if you've been in a certain dynamic where it's just going nowhere, and they're promising this, that, and the third, and you are so in your head about it, and your intuition is telling you to get out, but you feel guilty, you're being asked to choose yourself to not be delusional around, maybe next year they'll change, maybe next year they'll change. Because you're being delusional about the right stuff. You're being delusional around, what if I could be a professional artist? And you make that happen. You're being delusional around, wouldn't it be cool to live by the sea? And you're making that happen. Like you are being delusional and making your dreams come true, especially if it was meant to be yours all along. That's the thing. You can never say the right thing to make the wrong person stay or the wrong opportunity stay. And you can never mess up or say the wrong thing to what's right for you. You cannot mess with destiny. And so it's important to know, yes, you can be delusional and make your dreams come true so long as they're true to self, they're true to soul, they're true to your own path. But it's important to know that what is for you will not pass you. And even if you wanted this particular house, wanted this particular contract, if it passes you by, understand you're working with the nodes at this time. You need to trust the universe. The universe sees the bigger scheme of things that you do not see. And you're being asked to trust and surrender to spirit. Be delusional about things that are going to better your life. You deserve to prioritize yourself, show up for yourself. And if you are in a relationship where you're like, Haley Comet, it actually is good, I feel prioritized and valued and respected, and our long-term visions are aligned, I would say these eclipses could show up around releasing patterns or cycles within your connection. If you guys fight about the same thing over and over, if you guys get very frustrated, like you guys have a joint plan, it feels like it's not going anywhere, this is a year to really trust your own intuition and surrender to the bigger scheme of things. Let go of you and your partner getting very worried or neurotic around things not unfolding exactly according to plan. Some of you could be letting go of domestic labor mismatches or something of the nature, or letting go of nitpicking your partner, criticizing your partner, having your partner criticize you. Even outside of romantic relationships, some of you could be letting go of friends who always have something to say, always have something to nitpick, or even just finding your validation around being good enough in other people's eyes. You're really choosing to be the main character of your own life. Look at yourself through your own eyes. It's not it's like not the male gaze. It's like the Pisces gaze. Like, you are looking at yourself and falling in love with yourself through your own eyes. You're turning your life into a work of art. You're doing the things that genuinely show up for you, and you're genuinely separating yourself from things that are not true to you. And Pisces, a lot of you are being asked to be more visible this year, and these nodal cycles could really catapult you into new levels of visibility within yourself. And maybe that's why a lot of you are prioritizing your fitness and your health and your aesthetic more so. And again, the energy of Saturn and Neptune also being here, you need to not take things personally. I know being visible and being perceived is a lot more scary than just being in the safe reserves of your own daydreams, of your own imaginations. And I know it can hurt when you are so sensitive to receive negative feedback or having to be the bad guy as the boss or something of that nature. But I think it's such a great cosmic alignment to really teach you to have a tough skin, to not take it personally, to not let other people's opinions of you validate you or tell you that you're good enough or tell you that you're not good enough. Nobody validates you. You validate you. Spirit validates you. I want you to trust your intuition this year, Pisces. You have such a great one, but your intuition could be a quieter voice than other people and their data and their words and then this and then that. Trust in the quiet whisper of what feels right for you. Your gut will never steer you wrong. And these themes will be the most punctuated within the eclipses in March and September. So let's illuminate these. So we have a Virgo lunar eclipse on March 13th. This is on the South Node. And this eclipse lands at 23 degrees. So if you have Pisces placements between 18 to 28 degrees Pisces, this eclipse may be more influential. And this is an eclipse with its opposition to Saturn that could be quite hard. It could be timed with certain reveals around certain connections, certain relationships within your life that are quite hard, that are quite heavy. It's sometimes an act of self-preservation to fantasize about a certain situation or wear rose-colored glasses or make up a whole story around it to decorate the ugly truth of who somebody is. But I just really believe the true colors that are exposed to you in March, even if it's a tough pill to swallow. It's a tough pill to swallow, but it'll add to your own healing, I feel, is the major theme of that. We do have another eclipse in March, but it's in Aries, so it's wrapping up the last eclipse cycle for the year and a half. And then in September, we have a Pisces lunar eclipse on September 7th. And the Pisces lunar eclipse lands at 15 degrees. So if you have Pisces placements between 10 to 20 degrees, this eclipse will be more influential. So this could be timed with some really fascinating illuminations around self. You could be visible around this time. There could be spotlights around health at this time. There could be exciting things that are coming into alignment, certain visions and dreams that you are an energetic match for, that you were always destined to have. And feel that, Pisces. Feel when you're made for something. It really is just this energetic certainty. A lot of times when we try to yearn or force, there's this energy of not really fully believing that it's ours. And I'm not saying that we shouldn't work for what it is that we desire. We've got Saturn in our sign, okay? We're having to work for it, for sure. But what I'm saying is you just move differently when you know it's already yours. There's just a pull, you just feel something deep down where you just know it's meant to be yours. And I find that the more that you could just trust in the universe, the more you're going to be a magnet for those sort of things. We'll get into the specifics, but I do want to share with you that a lot of you have some fourth house energy this year, which governs home, family, and emotional state, which reminds me how I knew that this place was mine. I knew this place was mine. I've lived here for many years and I knew it was mine. I remember I was just wrapping up with work and I brought my running clothes to the office to go for a run after work. And on this run, I arrived at this neighborhood that I'd never been to before. And I just got this weird vibe. I was like, I love this place. And there's lots of cool neighborhoods in San Diego, but it just hit me a little different. And I took a picture of a condo that's basically kitty corner to where it is that I live currently and have lived for many years. And I sent it to my best friend and I said, we should live here. It gives me Lana vibes. I don't know. The aesthetic looked like Lana Del Rey. Me and my bestie love Lana Del Rey. So I was like, oh my God, it would be so cool to live here one day. I ended up moving kitty corner diagonal to that very place within 4 months time. Again, I took a picture of a different condo, but it was like right by here. And I remember right when we looked at this place, I knew down to my soul, down to my bones, even before I saw it, when they said that they had a place that was opening up in this neighborhood, I was like, I felt weird about it. And I wasn't even like nervous or anxious or, oh, is it going to go through? Is it going to work out? I just was like, it's mine. It's mine. And just know that, Pisces, that there are things that are meant for you. And it's not staying in relationships or dynamics that are not right for you, that don't make you feel good, that don't honor the unique magic of who it is that you are. There's too much good stuff to experience in this world to stay entangled and interwoven into the wrong stuff. And so trust in the entrances this year, trust in the exits. And that Pisces lunar eclipse on September 7th could be some exciting entrances or some illuminations of self, what it is that you are moving towards, who it is that you're moving towards. You know, I talked a lot around relationships leaving. This could be a time in which the right relationships come in, but it's important that you're defining your life, that you are staying anchored in your own energy. You're not acquiescing or accommodating or merging into their energy. You have your life, you have your priorities, you take care of yourself, and the right person merges into that picture. That's what's important. And we have a Virgo solar eclipse on September 21st. This is in your 7th house on the south node. And this eclipse lands at 29 degrees. So if you have Pisces placements between 24 to 29 degrees, this eclipse will be more influential. So again, trust that anyone who's removed from your life is setting up space for the right people to enter. And sometimes you see how somebody was poisoning the water that you're swimming in. Sometimes you don't always get that knowledge, but you gotta trust. If it happened during an eclipse or if it happened while North Node was in my sign, you gotta trust. It either was setting me up for my new chapter, it was limiting me within my current expression, or it was taking up space for something that's actually so much more aligned for me. And collectively, with South Node Virgo, we're being asked to release having a plan, being very perfectionistic. We're being asked to go with the flow. And like I said, you are leading the way. You're leading the swim of that. Some of you could be really encouraging other people to follow their intuition, to honor the spiritual wisdom and how that interweaves within this practical life. Some of you could be gaining notoriety for a topic such as this. But the major theme that I want you to take with you as you step into this year is that if you arrive to a cosmic crossroads around being what somebody else wants you to be and choosing yourself and choosing what God, universe, source energy designed you to be, choose yourself. Choose your destiny. Okay, Pisces, let's build on this story by looking at what your ruling planets are up to. And I say planets because you have a traditional ruler, Jupiter, and you have a modern ruler, Neptune. I personally utilize traditional rulership, so I would put more emphasis on Jupiter, but I will discuss both, just in case you prefer modern rulership of Neptune. So let's start with Jupiter. So Jupiter, your ruling planet, starts the year in Gemini until June 9th. And this, for you, lands within your 4th house, which governs home, family, emotional state. A lot of you with Saturn in your 1st house, sometimes it does relate to stepping up for new responsibilities. Maybe that relates to your family. Maybe you're taking care of certain family members. Maybe you are having children. You know, your ruling planet's in the 4th house or the 5th house. A lot of you could be having children this year, or you could just be really wanting to turn your sanctuary into a safe fish tank for you to swim in, right? You are more sensitive to your environment. So maybe some of you are seeking to decorate and fill with art and fill with photos of things that speak to your spirit, that soothe your sensibilities, so that at the end of a tiring day of dealing with annoying Saturn themes that some of you may experience with Saturn in your sign this year, you're able to withdraw and rest and recharge. With Jupiter and Gemini, some of you could be deep in study in a private way around a certain topic, learning about something. Some of you could be journaling. Some of you could be going to therapy, talking about your emotional problems. Maybe some of you are wanting to have more honest, vulnerable conversations with your family members or with other people within your universe. You know, that South Node in the 7th house, it doesn't need to be you kicking everybody out. Like, I definitely think with Jupiter and Gemini, strive to communicate your grievances. Like, South Node in the 7th house could be you putting a stop to certain cycles where you're feeling underappreciated and you're feeling like your emotions aren't being heard and aren't being valued. Communicate them. Really, with Jupiter and Gemini, there is a focus on your communicative ability, especially when it relates to your own emotional needs, what you need at home, what you need from family, things of that nature. And there'd also just be a focus on growing these elements of your life that, again, other people don't see. Some of you could be researching around different properties that you want to buy, or you could be wanting to be connected with properties by word of mouth. You know, if any of you happen to be real estate agents, you could have a little bit more luck or ease connecting with the right people in order to sell properties or land of some sort. You could be having some luck there. And if you have Pisces placements between 13 to 29 degrees, you will have a Jupiter square this year. And I would just be mindful of excess. I would be mindful of overdoing. Your ruling planet has been dancing with Saturn. So anytime you give in to debauchery or give in to excess or overdoing it, reality and consequences do catch up. And I say that not to scare you, but just to encourage you. After, the high of a shopping spree, we do with the crash of checking our credit card balance. With every high of drinking a bottle of wine, we have the crash of a headache. Like, just being mindful of that. And then from June 9th until the end of the year, your traditional ruler Jupiter will enter fellow water sign Cancer. And this is your ruling planet's exaltation. Some of you could have been really doubting yourself, really stuck in analysis paralysis in the first portion of the year with your ruling planet in Gemini. Jupiter does not like being in Gemini, so you could have found like there's been certain hard lessons that you've had to learn during this transit. And with Jupiter in Cancer, you should feel this energy around sinking into a sensation of ease. Jupiter exalts here. It transits your 5th house, which is a very fun house. It's very creative. You're pouring into creative projects. You're pouring into hobbies. You're pouring into your children if you have them. Some of you could be conceiving at this time. I would be cautious if you do not wish to conceive at the latter portion of the year, because that is absolutely alive. But I just see for a lot of you, you're falling in love with life. And you're finding that the more that you actually say no, stand on business, set limits, the more you have the capacity to fall in love with life. Because when we are resentful and bitter because we've taken on too much, we don't have the space to have fun, right? We become somebody that we are not because we have people pleased ourselves into oblivion. We've watered ourselves down. We have nothing left to give. And so I see this year you are saying no, you're getting comfortable being the bad guy in some people's stories. But with Jupiter in Cancer, you're falling in love with life. You're seeing the beauty in life. You are more creative. You're experiencing more success as it relates to your art. Some of you could be dating at this time. 5th house deals with romance. If the wrong one leaves, go out and find the right one. Honestly, with Jupiter in Cancer, go out and find the right one. Date. Honor who makes you feel safe. And not in a way where they trigger your familiar childhood wounding, but in a way where you feel like you can be yourself. You could be who the divine designed you to be. That could be something that's a focus within the latter portion of the year. And so if you have Pisces placements between 0 to 25 degrees Pisces, you will experience a Jupiter trine this year. And so you could really feel this energy of feeling very abundant, feeling very creative, feeling very generous, pouring into what and who you love, magnetizing the sort of people that you want to date, creating the art that feels good for you to create, trusting your instincts when it comes to the art, conceiving potentially, or growing something that feels heartfelt, growing a passion project, something like this. And I want to let you know that in the beginning of the year, from January 1st until February 4th, Jupiter will be retrograde. And so you could find you're a little bit more reflective, you're coming inward, you're contemplating your thoughts and your emotions, how to verbalize your thoughts and emotions. And then on February 4th to November 11th, Jupiter is direct, outward push into the world, into buying new properties, dialing in different home shifts that you want, dialing in certain home experiences, dialing in certain family experiences. Maybe some of you are traveling with family, something like this. And then November 11th, Jupiter is retrograde again, that pull inward. Now, Jupiter, your traditional ruler, changes signs every year. So that's not out of the ordinary. You kind of have this different tone, this different focus every single year. But what's quite unusual about 2025 is that your modern ruler is changing signs. Neptune is much slower and much rarer to dive into new territories of the sky. So Neptune starts the year in Pisces, thus your first house. It then enters Aries, your second house, a focal point of this year, on March 30th. It stays there until October 22nd, and then it retrogrades back into Pisces. This transit will officially come to a close next year. And I will say, as a Pisces myself, this is actually the shift I'm the most excited about. In 2025, I'm game for the fated changes. That's all good with North Node, but can Neptune get out of our sign, please? I feel like it is such an ungrounded, delusional, just in its own world energy. It doesn't add to the fact that Pisces is already naturally quite this way. And so I'm quite looking forward to Neptune getting out of Pisces. We get a temporary reprieve in the year 2025. And again, the end of this transit is near. And I don't mean to talk down to Neptune. Neptune is a very dreamy energy. Some of you will have a Neptune transit this year. If you have Pisces placements between 27 to 29, you are buddied up with Neptune. And when you're buddied up with Neptune, you could be tapping into different spiritual gifts. You could be creating, downloading, channeling beautiful art. You could be romanticizing this experience. But on the downside, you could be indulging a bit too much in escapist tendencies, drinking a little bit too much, very untethered and ungrounded within reality, losing track of admin tasks and papers and files. Like, you just be feeling a little bit more lost and confused if you're having a Neptune transit. But spirit and your spiritual connection can be something that is deeply an anchor at this time. Just to strive to remain grounded. And again, this is wrapping up in your first house, which is around self and identity. People don't see you as you are. They see you as they are. And Neptune energy has made you recognize that. Some of you during this transit, you've been very glamorous. Some of you could work with films or cameras, whether it's you behind the camera or in front of it. That could have been a medium that really spoke to you. Some of you could have gotten more into film, more into movies. Some of you could even be, an actor, an actress yourself. Some of you with Neptune in the first house, you've gotten very spiritual. Some of you could be seen as a spiritual individual. Some of you could be very altruistic. You could be very giving. You could be very compassionate. But a lot of you could have experienced during this transit a sensation of confusion around who you are and what you want. There's so many different potentials. There's so many different options in this life that you could have just been in this analysis paralysis, which Jupiter and Gemini earlier this year could have added to. Analysis paralysis around just the amount of options that are before you and seeing yourself in all of them. You are the shapeshifter energy. So it's like, I could travel abroad, or I could buy a plot of land with my family and raise cattle. Like, there's so many different possibilities and potentials, but in dreaming all of these, I just feel more stuck and I feel more confused. And so Neptune in the first house could also add to this. Some of you could have even had weird health stuff coming up that you couldn't get to the bottom of. Neptune getting out of this house may also help with this. And Saturn is helpful around exacting the discipline in order to experience genuine improvement. And so midway this year, March 30th until October 22nd, Neptune enters Aries. And this is kind of the energy around delusion that works out, delusion that inspires you to be courageous and go after what it is that you want. It does land in your second house. Saturn will also dip in here as well. This is the house of money. I would be very mindful who you trust with money. I would not lend money to individuals. I would be mindful of spending, track where your money is going. Some of you might find that you're more escapist. I don't want to check the numbers. What I don't see can't hurt me. I don't want to face it. I don't want to deal with it. And with Saturn also here, you're being asked to deal with it. Look at the numbers, okay? It can hurt you down the line if you're not paying attention and seeing what's accruing interest and seeing what subscriptions are going on. Some of you could even just find you're spending more on spiritual topics at this time. Second house also deals with self-worth and self-esteem. And I think a lot of Pisces are really recognizing and realizing that you are worthy. You are worthy of being paid well. You are worthy of taking up space, and you are worthy for asking what it is that you want. With the energy of Aries, initiating the conditions of what it is that you want, asking for the raise that you want. You can utilize this helpfully by tapping into this Neptune and Aries energy of like delusion that works out, right? Like being courageous, walking into this meeting with your boss as though the raise is already yours, having a price increase, and just anchoring in this confident, courageous energy around this is my worth and I'm standing within it. That could be a focus. Now, Neptune will be direct within the first portion of the year. It's then retrograde from July 4th until the end of the year. So again, when Neptune's direct in the beginning portion of the year, there's a desire to push yourself out into the world, make new visions and dreams come true, tap into your intuition, trust your intuition. Some of you could even be trusting your intuition as it relates to financial dealings or something like this. And then with Neptune retrograde, it's really revisiting and reviewing. Where am I keeping myself stuck within my own delusions? Where am I keeping myself stuck by not addressing things head on, by not facing the issue, by just keeping myself in my dreamy Delulu land? And it's interesting, Pisces, because I spoke earlier about this idea of being at a crossroads, potentially, where you either have to choose someone else and their vision for your life or choose your own vision for your life. And like I said earlier, choose yourself. But I do see this element of a crossroads showing up in more ways than one this year. And I say that because your rulers are at a bit of a crossroads as well. In June, Jupiter in Cancer in your 5th house will square Neptune in Aries within your 2nd house. So there could be this clash around trying to have fun and raise your children and needing the resources in order to support that. You could be overspending at this time and dealing with consequences around overspending on your children or on your art or on partying, right? These 5th house themes. And Saturn is asking for discernment. Saturn is asking for diligence. Saturn is asking for discipline around what you are spending your money on. 2nd house is also self-esteem. So maybe there's an energy with you being this creator with this 5th house energy, but doubting yourself, not pricing your art adequately, or not even putting it out because you're like, who would want this? You have to build that muscle of valuing yourself and appreciating what it is that you have to share. And I say that because Saturn's also involved in this. So come June, Jupiter squares off with your ruler, Neptune, and also squares off with Saturn, which we'll connect on in a bit, the Saturn and Aries journey. But I want to just highlight that you can feel at a crossroads at this point, trying to be everything to everybody and feel like you're being nothing to anyone. Like spreading yourself too thin, where you feel like you're doing a lot of things and not doing any of them terribly well. I just want to let you know that that tension might be alive come June. So what are some other themes that we see coming to life within your forecast? So I've mentioned briefly, but I want to expand on this, that Saturn is in your sign, which is in the 1st house, asking for discipline around identity, self, body. Firstly, speaking to sense of self and identity. You need to define yourself. You cannot let other people define you. If you allow other people to define you, you will go through your life like a passive observer rather than an active co-creator. Again, let spirit define you, let God define you, let your intuition move you in the direction of how you want to define yourself and identify yourself. Don't offload that responsibility to other people. Don't allow yourself to feel passive. You know, a lot of times Pisces energy can be attributed to this victim mentality, and that's important to guard against this year. Rise up to the difficult circumstances that are alive currently. Reach for your spiritual toolkit or whatever gives you a sense of peace and clarity and guidance in the grander scheme of things to move yourself through it. Especially if you have a Saturn transit this year. So if you have Pisces placements between 14 to 29 degrees Pisces, you will experience a Saturn conjunction this year. And that means these themes of hard work, delayed gratification, responsibility will be even more heightened, will be even more alive for you. Now, this transit officially concludes next year, but we do get a taste of Saturn getting off your back midway through the year, okay, from May 24th until September 1st, Saturn will enter Aries, thus impacting your 2nd house of finances and resources. This is a very concentrated sector this year. We already talked about your ruling planet kind of dipping its toe in. We've got Saturn dipping its toe in, and we have an eclipse landing here on March 29th. And whenever there's 2nd house activity, there's a lot of focus around our money, what we're spending it on, how we're earning it. And I won't lie, sometimes Saturn energy can indicate that we do feel a little bit more scarcity we do feel a little bit more restricted. Before you allow yourself to go to the worst case scenario, sometimes I've seen it around, I bought a new property, so I feel more limited on my finances because so much money went to the down payment, or I had a child, right, with Jupiter in Cancer. And so I'm having to be more disciplined around how I'm spending my money. I'm having to think long term. I'm having to save and budget for the future. That could be a focus here. But I also want to highlight that there is a focus around how you price yourself or the amount that you get paid. With Saturn in Aries, some of you have to advocate in order to get paid your fair wage. You have to see yourself as being genuinely worthy and valuable enough to ask for this much and stand on business with the energy of Saturn. Don't feel like you're mean or asking for too much. Again, when we undervalue ourselves, everybody else benefits. We do not benefit. And so Saturn and Aries could be asking for you to really step into your leadership around getting paid the amount that you want to get paid or that you deserve to get paid. And for some of you with Saturn and Aries, you have a lot of ideas around how you could make money, and this transit will ask you to exert discipline and follow through in order to make those financial ideas a reality, to bring those financial ideas to life. And this has been an arena of concentration. You've had eclipses here for the past year and a half. The eclipse on March 29th, the Aries solar eclipse, wraps up this story. And this is an energy around how have you leveled up your own valuing of yourself? How have you leveled up your finances, your income? Just be mindful, because sometimes Aries energy can be quite impulsive, and Saturn is really asking us to see where our dollars and cents are going. You know, give every dollar a job. This is what my mentor would always say. And it's important to note, Pisces, we won't go too deep into it in this video. Subscribe to my channel because I will do an all signs video on this, but we do have a Venus retrograde in March and April that will impact your money houses. So some of you might have money coming back to you that's owed, or you even could have things that you thought that you paid that you have to pay back, or you could just be in the space of reviewing, where's my money going and where would I like it to go? That story could be wrapping up with that eclipse. And like I said, the other eclipses are all about you, your relationships, your partnerships, and you. We also have Chiron in your second house throughout the entirety of the year. And again, it could bring up painful loops, painful stories when we do feel undervalued, when we feel like we're taken for granted. Well, that's showing up in a financial way or in some other sort of way. You know, Chiron can bring up these embedded wounds within us. Maybe some of you even spend money to avoid feeling uncomfortable emotions. Like some of you could be really looking at that potentially, or even spending money on your healing journey. Again, I see with Neptune second house, some of you could be spending more money on spiritual modalities, with Chiron in second house, healing modalities. I also see this year, we have Pluto in Aquarius all year long. For you, this is in your 12th house. This is the hidden house. There's a lot happening that's beneath the surface, Pisces. You are going to keep people guessing. There might be parts of you just with, your ruling planet, your traditional, with your traditional ruling planet near the IC, Pluto in the 12th house. These are more private, hidden places of the chart. And with Pluto, you could be doing a lot of work on yourself beneath the scenes that other people are not privy to or aware of. And that could be rewriting and reorienting your own psychological patterns. That could be making peace with the past. That could be transforming your inner landscape. Again, not everybody needs to know what's happening within that fascinating noggin and soul of yours, Pisces. I see that some of you are keeping things sacred and you're allowing your success or your results to do the communicating for you. Like I feel like a lot of you are finding you don't need to share about every little thing that's happening within your life. Your aura speaks for yourself. Your results speak for itself. Your discipline speaks for itself. Your work ethic speaks for itself. Like you're letting things speak for themselves. You're showing up for your work, doing what you are here to do. It feels like people are noticing with these eclipses in 1st and 7th, but I feel like a lot of you are tapping into certain spiritual modalities or emotional modalities that are helping you on the back end. Again, when we do the work inwardly, it does echo within our external results. And that story is absolutely alive this year. And even if we consider the humanitarian qualities of Pluto and Aquarius and having Neptune in your sign for a portion of the year, some of you could be, stepping up as spiritual leaders, helping humanity transition in some regard or using your intuitive gifts in some way or fashion. Even if you don't work in a spiritual industry, you could be using your visionary nature, your creativity, your sense of justice, even just letting the leader that you are speak volumes around the world that you want to build. I want to let you know that the final planet for us to discuss is Uranus, who starts the year in your 3rd house, which is you communicating in different sorts of ways, maybe communicating on ideas or topics that are a little out of the ordinary. Maybe you speaking up in ways that people are not used to, you valuing yourself in new ways, Uranus and Taurus, and speaking that out. You know, your boss might have not expected you to ask for a raise, or somebody within your life might have not expected you to set a boundary, but surprise. It's kind of the energy of Uranus in the third. And that's been a journey you've been on since 2018. Some of you have got into new topics that are quite unusual. Some of you could have gotten into writing, or you could have gotten into the internet, something like this. Some of you could even made money off a skill that you learned, or something technological or innovative. And then from July 7th until November 7th, Uranus enters Gemini, which is your 4th house. And some of you will even have a Uranus transit. And that's the case if you have Pisces placements between 0 to 1 degrees Pisces. And here's the thing about having a Uranus transit is that when you're having one, you do feel a bit like a live wire. You feel a little bit restless. You know, sometimes when you have Saturn in your sign, things are so monotonous. You have to work hard and do the things all the time. Sometimes you just want to rebel. You just want to be wild. You just want to have fun. And sometimes if we're not soothing that via, small rebellions, not rebellions that'll really disrupt your life. If we, choose to eat ice cream for dinner, or we dye our hair pink, like it helps soothe that wildness within so that life doesn't feel so monotonous and stale. Sometimes there can be surprising events that do come up around family, or even surprising emotions that do come to the surface. But the energy of Uranus could bring in this desire around spontaneity, rebelling, and liberating yourself. Maybe if you've been typecast within your family as the one who always does this, like the energy of Uranus is keeping people guessing around, just because that's a role that I've played doesn't mean that's a role that's supportive and healthy for me to continue playing. Because even if you don't have a Uranus transit this year, there could be this call to invite in changes with your living situation. Some of you could even be moving, or you could be switching up the furniture, switching up the art, switching up the roommates. Maybe you could have unexpected events happen with roommates. You could have some unexpected ahas around your own emotional state. There could be some unexpected events as it relates to your family and your family dynamics. So Pisces, as you can tell from this celestial synopsis, it is quite a year. So in honoring all of these transits that you will be experiencing within the year ahead, I have crafted you some soul-centered affirmations to guide you and encourage you as you navigate through the year. These are pulled and written directly from your own transits. And if they speak to you, I've put them within a PDF, which you can access within the description. You can even print it if they really speak to you. And so the Pisces 2025 affirmations are as follows. I am diligent and determined to take excellent care of myself. I show up for every element of my well-being, my physical, emotional, and spiritual well-being. It is safe for me to say no. It is safe for me to be authentically myself. It is okay for me to let other people down. If I do not let other people down, I will let myself down. I do not let myself down. I show up for myself. I refuse to abandon myself. I define myself. I choose myself. The right relationships synchronize with my life. I choose relationships based on how they align with my future ambitions and visions. My compassion has limits. My boundaries are in place to protect myself, my heart, my soul, my healing. I'm intentional about where I spend my money and what I spend my money on. I look at my finances clearly. I am worthy of being paid well. I advocate for my true worth and my true value. I follow through on my financial ideas in order to grow my abundance. I prioritize my sacred environment in order to make my home a place that genuinely refreshes and revitalizes my spirit. It is safe for me to try on new ways of being. It is safe for me to disrupt roles that I've been cast in by other people within my world. I turn my life into a work of art. I create like I breathe. The waters that I swim within are nourishing and supportive. The people in my life are nourishing and supportive. The people in my life accept me for who I am. I say yes to the universe. I trust that what is for me will not pass me. I let my intuition guide me towards what is truly meant for me. So Pisces, let me know which of those affirmations are truly speaking to your soul. What an honor and a gift to be able to relay what I see coming alive within the astrology next year for you, for us, really. I'm in this with you. We've got this, Pisces. If you'd like to connect further, please consider subscribing to the channel. I also can be found on Instagram. My @ is Haley Comet Astrology. Make sure to check out your other sign within the 12 Days of Cosmos forecast if you have not yet already. And until we meet again, Pisces, drink lots of water and stay cosmic.